contours of life, the woods have a quiet that we call peace. Gail, whose hometown was not Danbury, but Cleveland, had her first experiences with nature right in Cleveland, the city. It was, her family moved up here before, and during, and after, immediately around the Second World War. With the big migration from the south that came up here. And then a lot of development went on in Cleveland, about the time Gail was born. And she lived in a house on about 130th Street out that way. And they were men coming home from the war. There were people who were staying here after coming up here to work in the war industries in Cleveland. And they were building all these new places in fields and in little wild areas that were all around the city. And they had little square pieces of land with little square houses on them. And nature was being rubbed out. Fortunately, next to Gail's house were 3 lots which had not been developed. They were left open. As a child, she could go out and eat wild strawberries and see the insects and see what was around. Of course, eventually those 3 lots disappeared under little houses, but that started her anyway on her interest and love for nature. And this poem that I'm going to read you by Gail is about that little meadow next to her house, those 3 vacant lots. It's called One Summer Meadow. Small and seemingly indistinct, it lies sweetly dormant within the cabinets of your mind. But if you navigate the narrow aisles to where it is stored, then reach in and grab a tail of the length of it and shake it of its fog, you can just about lay it out the distance between the gray and the brick house, which you remember as its east and west borders. Though the sweep of the meadow in reality had been built over with 4 houses, painted many times in colors that sometimes looked fair together, other times so bland no one even bothered to glance. What grew there when you knew it, in its wild and hazy kinship with the sun, is what grows yet in that perfect preserve, a catalyst that shocked you for the first time into the glossolalia speech of a poetry no one you knew could possibly have understood. But you didn't care. This was for your future children, and it described for them this field in the way music would, if chicory and Queen Anne's lace were tones you could pluck from the August air and play through a wind harp. And now I'd like to introduce a man that you've been listening to for quite a few minutes already, Bill Lestock. He's a neighbor. He lives right up the street, Bass Lake, so he's not too far from us. He's lived there for 7 years. In a way, he's also a hero because he's been firefighting for 26 years in the Cleveland Fire Department. I think that makes him some kind of a hero too. But he's been a musician for 45 years, and he plays the mandolin, he plays the fiddle, he plays the guitar. He writes his own songs and instrumental music, which he draws from the walks that he's taken through life. He's got songs about firefighting, he's got songs about the birds in Mexico, and he's got songs about life right here in Munson now that he's living here. So, Bill Lestock.
Hey, thanks very much. I moved into Munson about 7 years ago, coming up again this year. I love it out here. It's awesome. I grew up in Geauga County in Lakewood, Ohio. But for 20 years, I had to live in the city of Cleveland. That's like being a prisoner. But finally, we won the residency law, or we beat it. And I got to move out here. It's just been wonderful. I love living here. Anyway, excuses. I developed tendonitis a couple months ago. I can't play mandolin at all right now. And I have this tune I'd love to play for you, but I just can't do it. It's called Shard Snow. And, so I'll do the best I can with the other instruments here. But my two sons were born out here. My two youngest sons, I should say. And Charlie was born 2 years ago in July. And my son Jack, one night looking out the window, he's looking out at it's nighttime, he's looking at the moon, he goes, "We're going to name the baby Two Moons." And I look over at my wife Tara and I go, "Okay." So this is a song for Charlie, it's called Two Moons. My son, he's 2 years old right now.